This is going to be a terrific game. Oh, nice shots.
Oh, that's gone. That's gone.
It's a beautiful shot.
90 blade.
The atmosphere here is electric.
Feel so alive.
4 more runs required. He does it! He absolutely does it! One of the greatest innings you'll ever see from Sri Lanka. He's got his team to victory. He's got 150. What a historical day here at Durban. February 16th. It's a special, special day.
It's one of those test matches that we all dream about. And what a test match. It was absolutely spectacular.
Very disappointed being on the losing side, but we will most certainly come back strongly.
South Africa under pressure, the pressure to win and not lose a series. Sri Lanka looking for victory.
He's got him. That is superb stuff. That is brilliant from Fernando. Bowled him. Brilliant. Fernando struck again. This is outstanding stuff. Magnificent to watch. These Sri Lankans are really on fire this morning. Try the bowler's end. Oh, that might be out. That might, yeah, it's out. Oh, I cannot believe this.
It's 15 for 3.
Markham likes half volleys. Puts that one away nicely.
Oh, that's not a bad shout. That's out. It's been given.
Bash that one away.
Shots again.
He's bowled him. That has just gone straight through him and bowled him. Quentin Kock cannot believe it.
And they've cleaned up here to bowl South Africa out for a double Nelson. Bowling! It's bowling! Too quick!
There's an edge. That is really well bowled. That is a lovely setup. Really good work from Olivia.
Sri Lanka are now 60 for 3, still trail by 162 runs. Welcome to Port Elizabeth. I should say welcome back, really. Day 1 was really good. So much action. On to day number 2, South Africa against Sri Lanka. Coming to you live from St. George's Park. South Africa arrive here today having to fight back. Won the toss yesterday, decided that they would bat first, and unfortunately for them, well, they were blown away. 222 is all they could muster, and it's not enough, or it has to be enough, and they've got to make sure they fight back and bowl Sri Lanka out for less or as close to that as possible. Sri Lanka, well, they arrive and hope that they can put their best foot forward and get ahead in the test match. A sunnier day than yesterday when we began. We hope we find you well, and we're looking forward to day number 2. We include Sean Pollock and Mikey Holding, who are alongside me. Morning, gentlemen. How are you doing today?
All good, Pumps?
Morning, Pommy. Everything is good so far.
So far, so good.
So far, so good.
Nice to hear, actually. And before I get into your thoughts about stuff and about what happened yesterday, let's have a look at where the match stands. A look at the summary of the game, which has moved along rather quickly, with one side being bowled out yesterday. South Africa 222, 86 for Kock, Markram with 60, and 3 wickets to Fernando, following up a good performance in Test Match 1, and Rajita with 3 wickets as well. 60 for 3, Sri Lanka still trailing by 162, but happy in that position because today they can, well, forge ahead. Before we go forward, we must look back. Sean Pollock, as you look back at yesterday, what sticks out mostly to you?
Yeah, I think it was a disappointing start for South Africa to lose those 15 or 3 wickets for 15 runs, put them on the back foot after winning the toss. I don't think the surface was bad. I don't think it offered a huge amount of assistance. It was a little bit with the new ball. And I think we just went down to the form that we've seen from the batsmen in this series. A lot of guys have struggled, haven't managed to get the runs. The 2 that have been the standouts for South Africa in this series have been Markram and Kock. They came to the fore once again. 222, not enough, having won the toss and deciding to bat first. then once again they bowl themselves back into a situation where they feel like they're in the mix with 60 for 3. So I feel it's in the balance, but again it'll be a day where South Africa walk away thinking haven't really done the job, and Sri Lanka think we could have taken more initiative from that day.
222 all out, as Sean Pollock says, is something that Ramesh, who is alongside us, bowling coach of Sri Lanka, was very happy with. Have a look back, Mikey, at the way that Sri Lanka bowled and tell me what you feel about that.
Well, I think generally they did a pretty good job in Palmy. The only disappointment I had again was the approach when Quinton de Kock was batting and batting well. You know, it was a similar approach that we saw South Africa take against Pereira in the first test match, and it didn't work. It certainly didn't work against Quinton de Kock either. He eventually got out, yes, to the spinner, but I don't think that sort of approach when somebody's batting well is a correct approach to have 7-8 men on the boundary. You have got to make that batsman think that I still think I can get you out. I might not be able to get you out with 3 slips and a gully, but I'm going to set a field that is reasonably attacking that I think I can get you out. Apart from that, I think Sri Lanka did a very, very good job. Right up front, they got 3 early wickets, which is exactly what you want to be doing with the new ball. As we know, the Kookaburra ball doesn't last, the shine doesn't last very long, the seam doesn't last very long, so you have got to use that brand new ball, and they used it very well.
As you look at the wickets, Sean Pollock, do you look at it and say, oh, some got themselves out, you know, and then, as you say, as everyone says all the time, that it is a combination of both, bowling well, like Mikey says, and some, I suppose, inept shots. Have a look through these and tell me what you think as you see them.
Yeah, firstly, Dean Elgar, as an opening batsman, you can't afford to playing that far out in front of yourself. It went on a straight angle, knocked over the stumps. First ball, you can get those. It doesn't matter about the surface there at all. Run out, miscommunication. So of those 3 wickets, maybe the surface played a part in the first one. The other one was good bowling, and that's just a mistake. South Africa got themselves into a decent position, then they end up losing the wicket on the break of Karunaratne. I mean, this is probably a nightmare for Faf du Plessis. He went to bed wanting to kick himself. To get out to that, to be yorked, I mean, normally you get yorked through some serious pace. It's not really the...
Or swing.
Yeah, or swing. There was nothing much to that one. But yeah, they did well. You know, Markram's played superbly. I think he's been brilliant for South Africa. And I think someone's going to catch a really big score off him at some stage. He's always looked balanced at the crease, like he's going to bat for a long period. Unfortunately, he's just found ways to get himself out. That was a good delivery. And this is an important spell from Ajitya. Right in the middle period there, he picked up 2 or 3 quick wickets and really rocked the South African batting lineup. So, yeah, a combination of some average shots, some decent bowling, and as Mikey said, I think they did give the initiative away when Quinton de Kock came in. I mean, he hadn't even faced a delivery and they had point and square leg back as if he was going to dominate them, and he did. And it's almost like they set the tone for themselves, believing that it was going to be impossible to get him out, and he played that way until cramp and all those kind of things took over, and he got himself out. But yeah, South Africa once again, I mean, we've seen their averages. They won't be happy with the way they've performed batting-wise in this test series and in this test summer. And it was another case. They got one more chance to show us what they're capable of.
Yeah, big miss to have left armer Embuldeniya get injured and go, but then De Silva with a couple of wickets. I guess he's going to have to help as they go along and bowl decently, actually, for his couple of wickets.
Yeah, he didn't bowl that badly, and I suspect in the second innings, with a little bit more assistance from the pitch, he might do a pretty good job. Embuldeniya is a big miss, though. I think he bowled beautifully in the first test match, and he would have been very useful here. But before we even get there, the Sri Lankan batsmen have to bat for me. They have to get some runs.
Yeah, and as we kind of look at the way it's set up, 60 for 3. Sean says he feels it's kind of even. Where are you with where the game is?
I think although they only got 222, South Africa are on top. If you look at the averages of the Sri Lankan batsmen for me, the highest average is something like 36 or 37. So you can't expect an innings like Pereira again to repeat it in the second innings. So if I was South Africa, I would feel very happy with the situation. 162 runs in front, possibly 6 wickets to get because Embuldeniya, we don't know if he's going to be batting.
Yeah, he's struggling.
He's struggling.
Yeah.
So another 6 wickets to get. There's a night watchman there. You'll be hoping to yourself that you can knock him over quickly, so you could almost say 4 down. I'll be happy as for South Africa.
Yeah, I agree with Mikey. The only thing for me is that the only player who's really been in good touch is Pereira. what does he bring? Mikey said you can't keep on relying on him, but what we've seen in the series is that South Africa have relied on Quinton de Kock, and he keeps coming good. So South Africa will just be conscious about what they do to Pereira. If they can get him out, then I think they're definitely on top.
Okay, right. Pause there for a second. Yeah, need to pause for a little bit, because in terms of how guys go into planning, what they do, how they'll get perhaps a Quinton de Kock out, perhaps how they'll get a Pereira out when he is in full flow and going okay, all those things come into play with the planning side of things. Look at how he played, Quinton de Kock, because, as you say, both of you say that he's in fine touch, and there must be some particular plans, not so much on letting him get runs, but on making sure that you get him out early, Sean.
Well, they showed the interception points of him compared to the other 4 that had come before him, or 5 that had come before him. And the confidence with leaning into the shots, getting his momentum going forward, everything looking really in good positions, and backing himself, standing up and just delivering. And he's a man who's just got that self-belief going, has got the confidence. We always discuss confidence at the international level, and that's where he's in. He's in a really good space.
Okay. We'll go over to Mike Hazeman now and see how he feels that the planning of each player, of different players in different parts of the game, goes as they get themselves ready to be effective in whatever test match. Hayes, good morning.
Morning, Palm, and not only that, I'm going to take you from the real video also into the virtual world as well to have a couple of things that happened yesterday. First of all, we're looking at Fernando to Elga, the setup, the planning. You talked about that, the setup. Let's have a look at this. It really was terrific stuff from Fernando, the work that he did to get this right. Well, maybe not. Let me just push that button again. So we seem to have a bit of a technical error here with the screen at the moment. Palm, let me just get this sorted out and I'll come back to you shortly.
Okay, yeah, hopefully you can get it sorted out as quickly as possible.
That's live TV, isn't it?
Yeah, live TV is fantastic. Anything can happen. Let's shift on, gents, and I want your inputs on this. Injury, Embuldeniya, his hand, his thumb smashed, actually, and as he was walking off, if you're squeamish, well, you didn't want to see that. And the issue of substitutes. You can get a substitute to field, but you're limited to just fielding. In times past, you couldn't even keep, and that's changed. Now you can keep wicket as a substitute as you come on. Other sports, Sean Pollock, you come on, you're a substitute, and you take part in the game. Why is it, you think, that with cricket it isn't so?
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised. We've had a few discussions at committee member level, and I'm a big fan of line substitutes. I mean, in other team sports, you get substitutes which come on and replace guys. In hockey, for example, there's rolling substitution where you go on and you can come off, and it's a whole squad that performs. I think it should be allowed, and Embuldeniya is a massive blow. We saw in the first test, Vernon Philander, he couldn't continue. There was a massive blow for South Africa because he couldn't bowl his overs. Embuldeniya here, he got 5 wickets in the first innings. He was definitely going to play a part in the second innings in order to bowl South Africa out the second time. You can see that injury. He's gone for x-rays. There has to have a little minor operation on his finger. Work has to be done. There's no way he can participate. He's not trying to shirk. He's not trying to do anything. It's a genuine injury, and he can't participate, and it's nullified an attack in his team, and it's also going to nullify some good viewing, I would think, from the test arena. So I think they should be allowed to have a replacement, even if it's after the first innings, after both teams are batted, you can make a replacement. I think they should be allowed to make one.
Yeah,
under certain circumstances.
Yes.
Just as they say no, it has to be an external injury. I have no problem with a substitution for an external injury. But when you mention, like Vernon, their Philander, no, I can't see that injury. That is something that he's telling us. We can't examine him and see that he's actually injured. It could be just a tactic by the team to say, we want a spinner.
Yeah.
We don't want Vernon Philander under these circumstances. The pitch is not the way we thought it would be.
Yeah.
External injuries, no problem with substitution.
And it could also be something where you get it okayed by both physios. So both teams' physios have to agree that he can't participate anymore, and they have to analyse him, or the doctor gets involved, the local doctor, and then you say, yes, can't play anymore, allowed a substitution. In this case, I think it would just be fair.
I'm thinking, you know, we kind of need to get back to why is it this way in the first place? Do we have any idea why, when the laws were made,
cricket is just a peculiar sport. We do things in our sport that sometimes don't look logical, and they just stay that way because that is the way it has been. You know what I mean? They just say it's tradition. I think they need to look at these traditional things and do sensible changes, have some common sense regulations that can allow sensible changes to take place in the game. And not just at the lower levels I'm talking about at the highest levels. We have had some experimentation at the lower levels, and we have had experimentation at the shorter form of the game. They now need to start looking at test match cricket.
Yeah, I was just about to say, we had those tactical changes used to happen in one-day internationals. So at the end of the first innings, you could make a substitution. So if you bowled first, you could strengthen your batting, or if you had batted first, you could strengthen your bowling. And I thought those weren't bad ideas. I don't think it affected the way the game was played. I don't think it made a massive difference. But particularly for injuries, I just think it's so unfair. I mean, no one wants to see an injured player try and get out there and try and make a difference because he has to, rather be able to substitute him and have a quality of performance from a fit individual.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I'll read the law for you, actually. Law 24.1.2, a substitute may not bowl or act as captain, but may act as wicket-keeper with the consent of the umpires. When it comes to injuries, I mean, if guys go off to change their shirt, they go off to go to the toilet and all of that, and as substitute you come on, roll off, no problem, don't really affect the game. You can take a catch and so forth. But in this case, you have, 9 batsmen or 10 batsmen instead of 11, and that just seems unfair. It makes it easier for the other team to win or for that team to lose.
And the bowler who could have played such a huge part for his team just totally out of the game now.
Okay. Well, there you have it. That's how it is as far as cricket is concerned. Perhaps there needs to be a 24.1.2 stroke 1, stroke I or something that says if it is injury, then on you go.
External injury.
Yeah, particular injury, external, visible, and so forth.
Yeah.
Verifiable. Yeah, by whoever. I don't know. Would have to appoint somebody to do that. Take a short break. I'll be back in a bit.
Feel so alive. The atmosphere here is electric. Make me feel so alive.
Welcome back to St. George's Park, day number 2. We're going into session number 1. Before we get there, let's get back to Mike Hazeman. Morning again, Hayes, and hope the gremlins are gone this time.
Ronnie Palm think they're gone. It was the spider, actually. We know that web, the spider was in there. Anyway, let's get into this. So this is D. Nelga and the bowling from Fernando. So these red streams are the deliveries, the setup deliveries is the important part of this. He's obviously worried and always has been worried about that line around about there, his 5th stump. So this is what he was doing leaving up until now. We're going to the virtual world as we spin this around. Just have a look how we spin this around, and there's going to be just a little bit of opportunity to have a look right here, and you can see that these deliveries are all there. Delivery release is there, and it's also so nice to see this swing. Just this little curve that's been bit more sort of straighter than that, but anyway. So let's just keep playing here because there's a big surprise coming, and this is the skill and the setup from Fernando. So he's done this beautifully with everything. Have a look where this ball comes from, this delivery, this last one. Look at that, wide, and Dean Elgar was totally surprised by that, as you can see by his reaction. So that was really good work from Fernando yesterday. Another thing I want to look at here is what the players did with their interception points against seam. So here's the seam interception points from the various players. Amla was in the crease. Faf, we know the ball for lunch, was yorked. So here's all this situation, and the guys really were having a few problems, and nothing was very positive and a lot hitting the pads. But have a look also there with those top order dismissals, right? So real concerns there for South Africa. But then there was a situation when obviously Quinton de Kock arrived. Look at him. look what he did, the change that he made to this. He realised the guys are getting trapped in their crease, so I'm going to take a couple of steps outside the crease, and my interception points are all going to be here. So that was really good work from Quinton and Kock compared to here with the other guys who were being dismissed. So really good stuff from him. And well thought out, a plan that worked beautifully, just a little couple of shuffles down the crease and doing some really good work. So we go to the wagon wheel now, and what sort of difference does that make? So here's a look at the first 32 runs from Quinton and Kock. And have a look at this area. We know he's so strong in this area. So this is the first 32 runs. There's a Lone Ranger down there. That's all there is. We will play on now and have a look at what happened. And this is after he started walking down the track. So this is the next 54 runs. So it's a massive difference here with all the runs that he scores in this area because his great planning decided, right, I'm going to waltz down the track and meet the seam a bit more. And then, of course, we can add all the runs, and you can see where he got his 86 in the end. Something else I want to look at here is the slips. Now, I'm okay with this. This is a big part of the game today. I'm okay with this work here from these slips and where they're standing. So there's Hashimamla, there's Faf, and there's obviously Dean Ilga. Some might think they can go a little bit wider, but that's okay as far as I'm concerned at this stage. I'm going to play on a little bit as we get past this delivery and just show you how I think at times they got a little bit closer. So they're getting a little bit closer in my book, but this gives you a better view if we have a look at this. Now these guys, I think, are too close here. I think they're covering probably 2.5, and they could easily be spreading out here. So I think they're getting a little bit too close there. And there's Rabada just trying to do some work. And if we have one more situation here with the slips, you can see also very close, that slips. And I think that's going to be an issue. Also that was a good catch at the end by his ankles. And the slips are going to be very careful at where they're placed. And I'm going to leave you with one little thing as I talk through this. This is just brilliant work from Mendes. So, correction from Olivier, the way that he was pushed back into the crease by Olivier. Back foot, back foot, back foot. It was a classic setup from a quick bowler, getting fuller with the red streams, good length, trapped on the crease, not playing, and nick. So really good work from Olivier and good adjustment of his lengths. So I think we had some really good plans yesterday from the South African guys. Also Fernando at the top. We've got to watch that slips today because I think it's going to be crucial. Their spacing has got to be right and they've got to be closer as well. So there's my two worlds, Pommy. Eventually. Back to you.
Yeah, you get back to your gremlins. Thanks, Hayes. Okay, it's good morning then to Makayantini again and also to Russell Arnold. Russell, how happy are you this morning? How happy are you with where the game stands?
Well, good position. Sri Lanka with all to do. So you show up on a day looking forward to it. So that's what Sri Lanka will be doing today. And they win the day today. It goes a long way in sealing this series. When I say that, you bat well, you don't need to be express. You just need to play time, get 250 runs in the day that gives you a lead of 75-100. That's all there is to it. So keep it simple, stay positive, bat like what Tirumana did yesterday. I thought he was brilliant.
And he needs some runs, doesn't he? And it looks like he's started all right.
Yeah, nothing different. Just keep continuing. If it was there, he was looking free with his stroke play. And that's exactly what they need to do. Not think too much, not overthink.
As relaxed as you as well. Makayantini,
yes,
look forward from a South African perspective and be the leader of the attack as you once were and say some words to your group as you go out with your opposition trailing by 162.
Pommy, it's very simple. We've seen, how Kagiso has bowled yesterday, and then you look at how Oliver came back. For my, view, if I had to be part of the system, I would say to go straight to Oliver, says, look how you got your wicket. You set up a batsman, you bowl more on the fuller side of the length. That's where you nick the balls. That's where you bowl the, the batsman, which is one of the simplest things. All you need is to have a clear mindset that I'll surprise them with the first two bumper, and then the next four balls will be just in that very good length, whereby they don't know if they could bowl forward or defend.
As far as the surface is concerned, we were speaking to Aiden Mark. It was the three of us actually yesterday at the end of the day speaking to Aiden Markram, and he was agreeing with you with regard to, little bit happening here, a little bit happening there. He also said it's not a 222 surface. Do Sri Lanka then feel comfortable as they go out today with regard to what conditions they have to come and sort of try and go ahead in the game?
Of course, they know they're up against a challenge. You're up against Dale Steyn, you're up against Kagiso Rabada. And also, it has a bit more pace. It might be slower. You might say it's slower. But in Sri Lankan terms, there's more pace, there's more bounce. They will be tested. So they know that. So you have to show some grit. Just keep battling on. The longer you keep South Africa out there, the more frustrated they will feel. They'll have to try things and then go out of their game plan. So that's why, take it easy, have a cup of tea, keep hanging in there and just play on. Even a piece of cake for you if you want.
You know one thing, what I'll do, I'll give you 6 sugars, don't worry.
I think that we need to separate them every now and again so that we can carry on with the conversation.
So keep it simple, really. That's the message. Yes, there'll be a challenge. Show some courage. Just keep hanging in there, and at the end of the day, assess where you are.
The whole bowling group has to work together. Talk also, though, about the captaincy of Faf du Plessis, because how he marshals the troops and how he works with his bowlers is going to be important, Makai.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. For me, it's, you know, when we have, fast bowlers like what we have in South Africa, Kagiso, Dale Steyn, Oliver, you don't have to worry which side you give them. They know exactly what job they need to do. And then you have Maharaj, where he's going to be so needed today to make sure that he gives a break between those fast bowlers, because that will be needed. He holds one side of the wicket, and the rest of them will be attacking on the other end.
Yeah, he touched on Maharaj. I think that's crucial. Even the Sri Lankans felt they'll be turned on this pitch, and it is taking turn. They'll miss Lasith Embuldeniya, who had surgery last night, but Dhananjay De Silva, he sounds like he's up for the challenge, and something new for him to lead that side of things. I think Maharaj is crucial. We are underestimating him.
30 minutes, isn't it, for Sri Lanka as you start the day? That is so important that you kind of stave off the wolves from the door.
Yeah, just hang in there. No soft dismissals. Make South Africa work for it. And once you get to that 30 minutes, it becomes another 30 minutes.
Okay.
It goes on and on.
Okay. Thank you very much, Makai Antini. Thank you very much, Russell Arnold. You can continue your fight up in the commentary box. May the best man win. Right, it is day number 2. We're going into the first session. 60 for 3 is where Sri Lanka are. South Africa, 222 all out. They must fight back, but one less man for Sri Lanka. Let's see how session 1 goes on day 2.
We have got another very pleasant day in Port Elizabeth today. It really is superb. Lots of sunshine, not too much wind as well. And this will be a fascinating day of Test match cricket. Day 2 it is of the final Test match between South Africa and Sri Lanka, and that is a pretty sight.